Run the Jewels 3. Alright, let me just dabble in my history with Run the Jewels before I start off and get into the third album. First album, absolutely loved it. Second album, I love it, but I don't love it as much as the first album, which is the unpopular opinion, I know, but I don't know. Alright, the second one, I love the first half of the second one, but then the second half, it just is like, I don't know. It's like very iffy to me. I kind of was finding myself skip over a lot of the tracks a lot, but the first half of the second one, love it. And the thing with the first album is I love the entire album. So with this one, I mean, the way I like to look at it is like, all right, the first one they smashed their foot in the door. They broke the door down. They made this name for themselves and they were established. The second one, they raised the bar up completely. So it was like with this one, you know, even after hearing like the first few singles off the third one, like Talk to Me, 2100, Legend Has It, I was like, what are they really gonna do? And the thing that's amazing is that this one's 14 tracks long. Um, it was like I just felt like, what are they gonna really do? Are they gonna keep that same style? Even though I mean the first three singles, you could hear that same style, but it's like, how, are they really gonna like? I don't know. It's just like the third album to what seems like it's like a whole series of like the same, kind of thing. I guess. I mean, Run the Jewels 2. That's like a sequel. So then the third one is whatever it's called. I don't know what that is called in the series of three things. I'm a fucking idiot. But it's like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna stick to the same style that they've made this name for themselves as? Are they gonna switch it up any? Are they gonna how do they possibly get like a louder, more in your face sound than what we've heard on the second album and the first album? Um, and the thing is, I'll admit that the second album was insanely more in your face than the first one. Um, I just favorite the first one more. So with this, the third one, um, man, I'll just say it. This shit is incredible for real. I don't. I mean, the album just came out 2 days ago. I've listened to this thing like 8 or 9 times, and I was deciding like when I would finally just be like, okay, enough is enough. I am going to review this. I wanted to wait like at least like a week to get my final opinion in on it. But the thing is, I've been listening to this album so much that it's like, I feel like if I listen to it anymore, then I'm going to risk the chance of like listening to the album so much that I don't want to ever go back to it, which I found that happens for me for a lot of albums. Like I'll listen to it so much over, in such a short span of time that I don't want to go back to the album in the long run of things. So I figured I would just talk about the album while I'm in it as as far as I am right now. So this thing is amazing. Um, and this might be pushing the envelope a little too early, but I think that this could possibly be their best album. Um, the thing is, it's like, at least for me, like when I think of the second Run the Jewels album, I like to think that the first like 5 tracks were really just straight bangers. They just all were so intense. And the second half of that album, the second half of the second album, it's really confusing since it's like Run the Jewels 1, 2, and 3, and then I talk about like these first halves and second halves. But the second half of the second album was more like kind of not like super bangers like the first half of it was. It still had that classic Run the Jewels style, but it was more conceptual, more perspective oriented. And not saying that the first half isn't, but the second half was more like slowed down, like it was more for the lyrics. That's at least how I feel about it. And with the third album, with this album here, I feel like it was the same way. There are so many bangers on the front half of it. And then when you switch over like around Thieves, like track 8 or even Don't Get Captured, it kind of switches into the more slower paced songs or more relaxing like 2100 and even Oh Mama I would go so far. I mean even that that beat is so good, but it's more calmer than like a called Ticketron, Legend Has It, Stay Gold. Panther Like a Panther is absolutely insane. That beat is insane. That is that. Oh my god, that beat is so crazy. Um, but let's just go in order. Down is like right in the middle. It's right in the middle of that slow kind of style that they bring on the second half of the album, and it's like a mix of it slaps a bit, which I love. Talk to Me. I think that was the first single I heard, or maybe 2100. Um, I can't remember, but I like Talk to Me a lot, especially in the context of the album. Legend Has It. When I first heard that shit, I was like, "Oh my god, so good." I'd heard it before the album dropped, but that song is probably one of my favorites. That beat is just too much. Call Ticketron is insane. Um, Hey Kids, I love it. When Danny Brown comes in, it just feels so good. It. I wonder when that verse was recorded, because I haven't really heard Danny Brown do the whole check thing in a while, and it sounds like it was from kind of an older time. But there are so many lines. I guess I should have waited a little longer to talk about it because there are so many lines on this album that really stick out like never before with me at least. They really stuck out. Especially LP. He stepped his shit all the way up on this album as far as production and his lyrics and just his whole rapping, just his whole presence on this album was is so like I've never seen it before. Stay Gold, insane. That beat is insane. When that shit drops after they say after that phone call, insane. And the thing is like with this album, I tried to really listen to the beats, really take them in, and try to grasp every sound that I was hearing in the beats, and it's like impossible. Like LP, the way that he is able to fill up every single beat to the core, to the surface, is like it's like I don't even know. It's like how does he think to put this sound there and there and there and there? And it's like all over the place, but at the same time, it feels so compacted together to make it sound so good. Don't Get Captured. Uh, it's good, but it's probably I'll say my least favorites, even though I still like them, but I can tell I won't. They won't be the tracks that I go to. Don't Get Captured will be one of them, and Everybody Stay Calm. The thing is, I like those tracks, but they're just not the ones that I feel like I will be going back to when I revisit this album. Thieves was really insane. Thieves was like almost like scary in a way. Just the way that they would like talk and then start rapping again, but they would say like some really weird shit. And then LP has that such good line. Hold on, I gotta look it up. It's he's talking about like when your mind. Oh, fuck, it's so hard to type with one hand. Um, your mind says no, but your heart, something like that. That shit is crazy. And Killer Mike is like, he says riots tonight, like that, like all scary and shit. That track is like that track freaked me out a bit. It got my paranoia all riled up. 2100 is like that's when I would say that the beat started to change a bit. Started getting a little slower, more relaxed, let you breathe a little bit. But the thing is that they come with the lyrics. It's more of like a hopeful track. It's like a retrospective kind of track, but hopeful at the same time, which is the way I feel about like Thursday in the Danger Room, and Oh Mama. I feel like those were more, and a report to the shareholders. Those were more retrospective, lyric wise, hopeful, and more calmer in the beats. But the Oh Mama beat, when it switches over, when it like finally drops, I guess, um, is like, I don't even know how to describe that beat. But anyway, Panther like a Panther, absolutely insane track. That beat is like, holy fuck. And LP goes in. He goes fucking off on the beginning of that. He goes off on the whole thing. Like there is not a single. I cannot even like recall any single moment between Killer Mike and LP where they like failed in their flow at all. It's actually insane how well they can rap with the content that they're rapping about on the beats that they're rapping over. It's like, how do they not even miss? They never miss a beat. They never miss a fucking note. Um, Everybody Stay Calm, like I said, good track, but it's not one that I'm gonna find myself going back to. Oh Mama, incredible. Thursday in the Danger Room, LP's verse on is the best on the album. Killer Mike did his thing too, but the way that I don't know, man. Like when I first would like really listen to LP's verse, it was like it just hit me. It just hit me. And the thing is, the first time I listened to this was actually on Christmas, or no, was it? It was like an hour after it came out, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just listen to this thing right before bed. And I wasn't really listening to the lyrics like that, just cause coming from like a beat maker perspective, I just had to hear what LP had beat wise, cause I mean I just had to listen to him. So when I finally heard LP's verse and actually sat down with it, I was like, damn, like this hits me on so many different levels, man, because it's just so emotional, and it's like he like he's right in between that I will miss you when you're gone, but I'm happy of what the memories that we've had together. It's like so perfectly in the middle of like sad and happy and dealing with like that kind of situation of losing someone. And I mean Kamasi Washington did his thing. Uh I wish he kind of had more of a solo at the end, just because it felt like it could have dragged longer. And like, although he played throughout like the chorus, I wish it was a little bit longer at the end. A report to shareholders, again, an awesome way to like wrap up the album, like, or to start to wrap up the album in a more perspective kind of way, retrospective kind of way. And then I thought it was so interesting how they ended it with Kill Your Masters, which is like, it's weird because like I said, towards the bottom half of the album with like 2100, Thursday in the Danger Room, A Report to Shareholders, they started talking about more serious kind of situations and like getting their hopeful lyrics out. But then they ended it with Kill Your Masters, which is such like like a revolting track. I mean, it's called Kill Your Masters, and then it ends with De La Roca on there, and it's like, which was an amazing surprise, by the way. Like, absolutely insane. I love how they didn't have him in the featured title track listing. Um, Spectacular way to end the album. And I thought it was so interesting because it's like, damn, like I think the way you end an album is just as important as the way that you start off the album. Like with Down, the first track Down, that set off, like that was the perfect way to set off the album because it was right in the middle. Like I said, it was just like the perfect balance and medium between the bangers and the retrospective kind of stuff. But then the way you end an album is also just as important, and what message you're leaving behind. And what message they were leaving behind was this like revolting theme that they had in the first half. So in a way, they kind of balanced it out in even the last track, which is interesting. But it's interesting that they left you off with the kind of like more powerful kind of ending, and more like anger filled or anger fueled way of ending. I don't know. It was just really interesting. So, and also I gotta say, I love the way that like each track transitioned. Each track had a transition into the next one, which I found really, really interesting. Overall, I mean, I'm actually insanely impressed. Um, I think it's safe to say that we've never had a group like Run the Jewels in hip hop before. Um, and I think with this album, they've officially made a spot for themselves up there with the greats, the great groups, the great duos, the great names in hip hop. I have no other people in music really to compare them to. Um, they've really made a path for themselves and a lane for themselves with this album. I mean, and it's 14 tracks. They went longer than any other previous work, but they still somehow made it like so. I don't know. It's just like they are such a unique group, and I don't know. I'm just it's really insane. Like I didn't think I would be so impressed as I am with this album, and so like satisfied. And it's not even like satisfied. Like that's not even a, enough of a creditable, is that a word? Satisfied isn't um an enough meaningful way of putting this album, if that makes sense. I'm really fucking tired right now, if you can't tell. But I think they really outdid themselves. They put in the extra work, and it shows, cuz this album is definitely, I mean, what the problem is though, do you count it as a 2016 album since all everyone's lists are pretty much up and out, or do you count it as a 2017 album? Do you put them in your 2016 list because everyone knows that this album is going in your top list of the year of 2016. So, do you change your list now? Do you? It's so last minute, or do you wait till next year to put it as number one? Because this is an incredible fucking album. Um, so yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think it is safe to say, although I don't want to cement my answer, but I'm probably about 75 to 80% sure that in the long run of everything, I will say this is my favorite Run the Jewels album, and I'm just very happy with it. And it's crazy because it's like I love Run the Jewels. I am a very big fan of them, and I've loved everything that they've done before. But for some reason, I just this album was kind of in the back of my mind. It was something, well, not only because the original release date was so it seemed so far down the line, like January. So this was just a really pleasant surprise, and I'm very happy with it. And I don't know. That's all I can say. I'm really looking forward to what everyone has to say about this album. I think for the most part, people are going to say that this is their best work yet. And I just can't get over the fact that it's fucking 14 tracks long. What was their first one? 10, and then the second one was 11, and this one's 14. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. The way that everyone talked about the second album is, I think, the way I feel about the third album, this album. because with the second one, when that one came out, and I was listening to it over and over again, and everyone was praising this album, and I mean, it was number one on so many lists and this and that, but it didn't really hit with me, and I kept listening, looking for that, like why does everyone praise this one, the second album, more than the first one? And now with this, I think it is all connected with me. So overall, super happy with it. And yeah, I don't know how the fuck they will top this album. Uh, but I think with this, they've proved that they're able to, because they're able to reinvent their own sound, which they've made for themselves. So we'll see what happens. Thanks. Hope you enjoy this album. If you haven't listened to it, just listen to it. Okay. Peace.